Hey, what's up, VC? John here from JB's Vinyl and Cassettes. Today, I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to show a couple of albums and pay homage to the late and great CHICK COREA, the man that won 23 Grammy Awards and was nominated for over 60 of them, CHICK COREA. So I don't have a huge collection of his, but I did pull out a few albums that I think might be good for people that maybe haven't really gotten into him and maybe have heard of him before and thought, well, now that he's gone, maybe I should check out some of his music. Here's a few albums that you can maybe dig into that are either his own albums or feature him that you might like. So let's do this. All right, the first album I'm going to show you is the 5th studio album by Return to Forever. And this one is Return to Forever featuring CHICK COREA, and it's called No Mystery. And 1975 saw this band for this album actually winning the Grammy for the Best Instrumental Jazz Performance. So, great album. Return to Forever, you've got Stanley Clarke on bass, one of the premier bass players, I would say, of all time. One of my favorite, up there with Victor Wooten and Marcus Miller. But Stanley Clarke is this gentleman right here. And then you've got CHICK COREA right there. You also had Lenny White on drums and Al Demiola on electric guitar. But this album right here, pretty funky, good instrumental jazz. Gotta check it out. Next. All right, the very next year, they put out their 6th album, okay? Right here, Return to Forever, and this one is called Romantic Warrior. What makes this one interesting is it's the 6th album. It's the first one to call it Return to Forever and drop the featuring CHICK COREA. So this is when, I guess, he became part of the band and wasn't anymore featuring him, but he was part of Return to Forever. This is their best-selling album. This one's a little less funky than the one I showed you beforehand. It is a very, well, just like the album kind of suggests from the artwork and even some of the song titles and stuff, Romantic Warrior being one of them, it's definitely medieval sounding. That's what it reminds me of. It's very medieval kind of jazz rock, a little bit less funky, but still a fantastic album and a great listen. So you want to check out Mr. Corea on the keys, Stanley on the bass, and some other good music, then you're going to want to check out this album right here. Next. All right, this always bums me out. Some idiot wrote his name. This is the idiot's name is Kevin Harrell. No offense to you, sir, but wrote his name here. But this is the Return to Forever, the best of. So, really good place to start if you want to check out Return to Forever and check out CHICK COREA's, one of his side bands, and check out some of this stuff. This has the Romantic Warrior on it, So Long Mickey Mouse, Majestic Dance, all kinds of really good songs on it. So obviously you can't go wrong if you pick up this pressing right here, which I believe dropped in 1980. Now let's take a look at this. Probably looks like all the other ones, I believe. It does. Some more Columbia. There you are. Next. All right, for another album from 1980 that you can check out that features CHICK COREA, but it's not really his band, but it also features Stanley Clarke because it's Stanley Clarke's 6th solo album. Ladies and gentlemen, it might be a little shiny because it's still got the shrink on it, but this album right here, Rocks, Pebbles, and Sand by Stanley Clarke, has CHICK COREA on the record. He's not featured on the back here. As you can see, there's Stanley's band. But he does play the Moog on this album, and it definitely does stand out. So you may want to think about checking out Stanley Clarke. I believe he CHICK showed up on a couple of his albums, but this album is super funky. Side 1 is very much like rock and roll. Side 2 is a little bit more funky. The vocals on this album are god-awful. So you're not listening to this Stanley Clarke record because you want to hear some pretty vocals. You want to hear it for some rock, some funk, and this is actually the first album that Stanley Clarke, if you're a fan of his, did the tenor bass. So, interesting album, good album, a little bit of CHICK in here, so worth checking out. Next. All right, these last two I want to show you are actually both from the same year. Chick Corea had a very busy year in 1978 where he put out 3 solo albums, and then he also guest starred on a bunch of other albums. I can't remember the numbers, but it's pretty impressive. So in 78, he put out 3 solo albums. I have 2 of them right here. First one I'm going to show you is Chick Corea Secret Agent. Look at that. I've always loved that album cover. I've always thought that was pretty cool. Released in 1978, like I said. Kind of a mix of like Latin jazz, I would say, and then like, I don't know if I want to say film noir movie music, but some sort of like musical score, kind of haunting, I would say this album is. So kind of cool. Obviously, he's been known for doing some really cool, it's on Polydor, Latin jazz, but it's a cool listen. Let's put it that way. If you like Latin jazz, you're gonna definitely like it. And then some of the instrumentals, like I said, kind of haunting, kind of spooky, kind of hard to describe, but just a cool listen. So check that one out. And then the other one I have from that same year, from 1978, that he put out is called Chick Corea Friends, which has one of my favorite album covers of all time on it, featuring the Smurfs, ladies and gentlemen, which would have been very popular in 1978, obviously. Here is the back. See if you can see some of the people and stuff on here. This is actually a quartet with Joe Farrell, Eddie Gomez, and Steve Gadd. And it won the Grammy for the Best Jazz Instrumental Performance Group for this album right here. So not a bad year indeed, 1978 for him. The album starts off kind of slow and melodic, and then it picks up and gets a little bit more fun, that's for sure. A little more spring in your step by the end of this album. But just a great record. It really is a good record. Picked it up a long time ago. It's in great shape. Sounds great. And it's Chick Corea, I think, doing some of his most fun work with some of his friends. And that's what made Chick so good was, I mean, he played for Miles Davis in his 60s quartet or quintet or something when jazz fusion was just taking off. And then Chick ran off and did his own stuff. And he just melded. That isn't even a word, meld, but he went together so well with so many other musicians, and it just worked. And this is why, if you're not a big Chick Corea fan, but you've heard over the last week all these people going, my God, Chick died, it's because he's kind of like a Kevin Bacon. Like, everybody has worked with someone that's worked with Chick Corea, at least in the jazz world, but probably beyond that as well. Anyway, I hope if you haven't listened to Chick in the past that you give him a little listen. Hopefully some of these albums are something that you could dig into, maybe not. But I hope that you are all being blessed. I hope 2021 is starting off okay for all y'all, and I hope to see you again soon. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, all that crap, and I'll see you later.